first topic for the animal systems is on the integumentary system. So when we say integumentary system, integument means the covering. Okay, the covering that protects the organism from all other factors or from many, many factors. Okay, so again, integument means covering. Okay, now in terms of function, okay, in terms of functions, of course, the integument accords protection to the individual or to the organism. Like for example, in humans, and also in some other animals. Okay, so the skin or their integument, functions as the first line of defense since it covers the entire body. Okay, so the integument, especially in animals, the integument protects the organisms from physical injury, from abrasion, from trauma, also from like ito, like we have the organisms here. Yan, Okay. So like for example, if we have lower forms of organisms, so the entire body is covered with skin, Also for the shells. So we have the mollusks, they're also covered with shells, and their shells contain calcium carbonate, which makes the shell very hard. So again, for protection. So for humans and other animals, the skin covers the entire body for protection. So not only from physical abrasion, not only from trauma, okay? So we have protection against desiccation or loss of water from the body, but also protection against UV rays. So in our skin, we have here the cells called melanocytes, and they are responsible for the production of melanin, and melanin absorbs UV, okay? And then another, in terms of protection and at the same time immune function, we have the cells, okay, or we have cells in the epidermis. We call them the Langerhans cells. So later we are going to discuss them, So the brown cells here, they represent the Langerhans cells, and they are said to trap antigen in the skin or foreign bodies, that can penetrate the skin, so that these foreign bodies cannot anymore reach the deeper tissues of the skin. Okay. So again, so the integument, the skin is our first line of defense, protecting us. So other functions, so we have secretion. So we have different glands. Okay, and these glands are said to be epidermal derivatives. They are derived from the epidermis of the skin. So examples of glands, which are capable of secretion, or secretion of products. So we have here the oil glands, the sebaceous glands. And then we have here the ceruminous glands, okay, or the earwax glands. And then we have the mammary glands. Okay, so these glands are very important in the production and secretion of products. So another function is excretion. Okay, like for example, now this is attributed to the function of our sweat glands. We have the sudoriferous glands. So the sweat glands are capable of producing and excreting sweat. And sweat is a form of metabolic waste because it contains excess water, it contains excess salts, it also contains urea and other excretory products. Okay? And in relation to sweating, another function of the integument is for thermoregulation or regulation of the body temperature. Like for example, during these very hot days, okay, we regulate our body temperature by producing and excreting a lot of sweat. Because when sweat evaporates from the body, it takes with it a lot of heat. So that's why we are able to regulate our body temperature. But during very cold times, we seldom sweat, but we micturate a lot, no? We void a lot. We urinate a lot. Of course, because the sweat glands are not so very active in producing sweat. So our tendency is to urinate a lot. Okay. So again, that's a way of regulating the body temperature. Okay. So other functions, we have cutaneous sensation. So later in the discussion, no, we would see that there are a lot of sensory receptors that are found in the skin. That's why the skin is the organ, no, for the sense of touch. So later we're going to discuss all of them. And then the skin also functions in respiration, like for example, for lower forms of organisms, which are covered by a layer of epidermis. So the epidermis does not only protect them, it's also their excretory organ. Okay, so they are able to exchange gases with the environment via diffusion through their epidermis. Okay, so another is storage food. Okay, storage of energy. And that's the work of the adipose cells. Remember the adipocytes? They are responsible for storing fat. So they are able to store energy. And the fat cells are not only for storage of energy, they are also for insulation. Okay? Another function is nourishment of the young. Like for example, no, in the animal world, we have the mammals, and the mammals are called as such because they have mammary glands. And the mammary glands, they produce milk, no? That's why females are able to nourish their young. Okay? So another function, we have vitamin D synthesis. No, it's a very, very important function. Okay, so how is that? Okay, that's why now this is the reason why parents are bringing their infants, okay, to be bathed under the sun, usually during early mornings, mga around 6 o'clock, 6:30, no, to 7, depending on the intensity of sunlight, no? The reason is that, okay, bringing the children out or exposing them or bathing them under the sun actually triggers the inactive form of vitamin D, which is found in the skin, no? So the inactive form, the precursor form of vitamin D is found in the skin, and it's activated by UV, okay, coming from sunlight. That's why vitamin D is also called the sunshine vitamin, no? Okay, for the reason that it's not the source of vitamin, it's not the direct source of vitamin, but the UV rays, they activate, no, they activate the precursors of vitamin D found in the skin. Okay, and during activation, okay, those chemicals or those compounds, they travel going to the liver, okay, and finally to the kidneys, okay, where they are really activated, no? They form the active form, the most active form of vitamin D. Okay, so in your feature, you're going to discuss that. Okay, so another function of the integumentary system, no, for certain animals is for locomotion. Okay, for allowing them to transfer from one place to another. So this is exhibited by most of the invertebrates. No? Like for example, we have different species of worms. They utilize that. And in vertebrates naman, okay, so the skin, no, especially the derivatives, we have the ventral scales. So if you have here the ventral aspect of the body of the snake, no, they are provided with the ventral scales. And the ventral scales, being epidermal derivatives, are utilized in locomotion. That's why snakes can really climb, no, trees and also buildings as long as the surface is rough, so they can climb that. Okay? So yun, no? So what about the different kinds of invertebrate integument? So of course, so there are different kinds of integuments, no, depending on the particular groups of organisms. Like for example, for protozoans, okay, like this is a representation of an amoeba. Okay, so amoeba is a protozoan, no, a protozoon, and it is bounded by a cell membrane, which acts as the integument of the individual or the organism rather, no? Now, in some protists, no, or in some ciliates, especially, like you have here the paramecium, we have the slipper-like or the slipper-shaped protozoan, no? You have, aside from the cell membrane, you have here the presence of the pellicle. A pellicle is said to be made up of parang complex proteins, no? And these proteins are very necessary for imparting a sort of rigidity to the cell according protection, no, as the organism moves from one place to another. Now, for some organisms, okay, they are lined with a single layer of epidermis. As in the case of sponges, no? Yes, sponges are the simplest animals, so sponges are not plants. And then you have the jellyfishes, no? We have the cnidarians or the stinging animals. And then we have, of course, the different species of worms. We have the sea stars. So sea stars are also echinoderms. They are also provided with the epidermis. Yan, we have different types of worms. And among the invertebrates, okay, the arthropods, no, as exemplified by the grasshopper in this case, the arthropods have the a more complicated integument compared to the rest of the invertebrates. Why? Because the arthropods already have a single layer of hypodermis, okay, which secretes the procuticle and the epicuticle. Okay, so the procuticle is made up of proteins and chitin. No, in your discussion of botany, you have discussed chitin, di ba? So it's a structural protein found in the exoskeleton of invertebrates. Okay, and it accords toughness or protection. Whereas the epicuticle naman, no, it's made up of proteins and also lipids. So together, the procuticle and the epicuticle, okay, apart from according protection to the organisms, okay, these layers, they also make the exoskeleton waterproof. Okay, that's why the skin or the integument can actually repel water. Okay, now what about the human skin? Huh? So the human skin is said to be the largest organ of the body. It accounts for about 15 to 16% of the total body weight in an adult human. So if you know your body weight, no, times 0.15 or times 0.16, so that would be the weight of your skin alone. Okay? And in terms of area, so again, no, so we said that this is the largest organ. So in terms of area, so on an average woman, it's about 1.6 square meters. In an average man, it's about 2 square meters. So to visualize that, alam niyo naman yung isang metro, di ba? So 1 meter by 1 meter, di ba? So ito, for an average man, so 2 meters by 2 meters. So if you skin a man, an average man, and then spread the skin, so the area is about 2 square meters, no? And for the woman, it's about 1.6 meters. Okay? And in terms of thickness, so the skin no, is about 1 to 2 okay, millimeters thick. Okay, but the skin is thinnest on our eyelids. That's why when we have facial care, usually, no, the eyelids are the first to exfoliate, diba? So sila yung mabilis magbalat, no? So, and the skin is thickest on the palms and the soles. Sa palad siya sa talampakan, pinakamakakapal daw, no? So, the thickness is about 6 millimeters. Okay? And that's very true, no? Because the palms and the soles are always in contact with objects, so they should be protected, no? Hence, they have thicker skin, no, compared to the rest of the body. Okay? So, and it says here, no, so in our lifetime, we are shedding about 40 kilograms of dead cells. Okay. So from the time of our birth to the time of our death, we are shedding dead cells. And usually, so we shed them during bath time, no? Kaya importante yung nagkukuskus o nagsascrub, because it now removes the dead cells. Okay. Now, let's try to see. Okay, that's why we said earlier that one of the functions of the skin or the integument is sensation, diba? Cutaneous sensation. Because if you're going to examine 1 square centimeter of human skin, okay, apart from the presence of hairs and muscles, you have glands, no, you have sweat glands, you have oil glands, and blood vessels. Okay, the rest are receptors. Okay? So you have 200 nerve endings. That's why the skin is very sensitive. No? And then you have 12 heat receptors. You have 2 cold receptors. And then you have 25 pressure receptors. Okay? So take note, no, these are only found in 1 square centimeter of the skin. Okay? And sabi natin kanina, on an average man, so the skin is about 2 square meters, and on an average woman, it's about 1.6 meters. So you do the math, no? So ganun siya kadami. Okay? Now, in terms of the parts of our skin, so you have 3 major parts or 3 major layers. You have here the epidermis, the uppermost layer, and then second layer is the dermis, and then the lowest or the deepest layer rather is the hypodermis or the subcutaneous layer. Okay, so let's take the epidermis. Okay, so the epidermis is said to be made up of, eto, di ba? Like in the discussion of the tissues, no? It's made up of stratified, yan, no? Stratified squamous epithelium. Okay? So you have here the connective tissue part, no? So it's called stratified squamous because you have a lot of layers of cells, and the topmost cells are said to be squamous or flat or tile-like. Okay? And in terms of layers, okay, the number of layers is dependent on the type of skin, whether the skin is considered thin or thick. Okay? So we have here the layers. So the first layer we have we have stratum basale or stratum germinativum. Okay, so germinativum. Wait lang germinativum. Yan. Okay? So it's called stratum basale because it's the basal layer. So it's made up of a layer of either cuboidal or columnar cells. And it's called stratum germinativum. Okay, please remember stratum means layer. Strata, no, means layers. Okay? So going back, no, it's also called stratum germinativum because from the term germinate. Okay, so you're familiar with germination, di ba? Like if you have the seeds of plants, okay, they sprout or they germinate. Okay? So don't take that literally, no? So when you say germinativum, okay, it's because the cells of the basale, ito, okay, the cells of the basale are very active in cell division. So they divide a lot, no? And when they divide, of course, they now push, okay, the cells up, okay, going to the outermost layer of the epidermis, okay? So next layer, ito, so we have here the stratum spinosum. Okay, it's called spinosum because, okay, actually, the cells are connected by tiny bridges. So, ayan, and hence the name spinosum, para mga spines daw. And the layer is also called the prickle cell layer. Okay, because of this characteristic, no? Because the cells are again connected by somewhat mga bridge-like structures. Yan. Okay? So the third layer is stratum granulosum. So from the term, ito, you can see here granules, no? You can see here the keratohyalin granules. Anyway, in your school book, you have there I uploaded there, no, the details naman of the lecture, okay? So ito, no? Again, you have here the presence of the please don't mind my, ayan, handwriting, no? Keratohyalin. Okay? So ito, no, you have here the presence of keratohyalin granules. So from the term keratohyalin, so these are actually precursor molecules for the production of keratin. Okay? And then the fourth layer, this is the stratum lucidum. So lucid meaning transparent. Okay? Or translucent. So walang kulay. And this layer actually differentiates whether the skin is considered thin or thick. Okay? Because a thin skin only contains the 4 layers. You have basale. Saan yung cursor ko? Ayun. You have here basale, spinosum, granulosum, and corneum. Now, the thick skin, okay, contains an additional layer, and that's stratum lucidum. Okay, and the thick skin is again found in our palms and our soles, sa ating mga palad at saka sa ating mga talampakan. Because we know, no, that for example, the hands are utilized a lot, no? We are utilizing them, no? The palms are touching every surface, no? The palms are very important to be protected, no? Because they are, yeah, really the ones in contact with so many things, 'di ba? That's also very true for the soles, yung talampakan, no? Because of course, we're always grounded. So they have to be covered with a thicker, no, epithelium. So ito yon, no? And it's called lucidum because it's translucent. That's why relative to the other parts of the body, okay, so they are paler in color, no? Usually maputla yan, no? And that's the reason why we can also somehow see the color of the blood vessels, no, beneath the skin because of the translucent color of the palms and the soles, no, because of this layer, okay? And lastly, we have the stratum corneum. Okay, so the stratum corneum, that's the uppermost layer, and this is made up of dead cells. Okay, dead cells, squamous cells, cornified cells, keratinized cells. Okay, so in relation to the production or the maturity of the granules, so from the stratum granulosum, we call the granules keratohyalin. And then, again, no, when the basale, when the cells in the basal area divide, they push now, di ba? The cells. So some of the cells here, they go to the granulosum layer, and then the cells in the granulosum layer, now they go to the lucidum layer, and so on and so forth. No? So those in the lucidum, they are now pushed going to the corneum layer. Okay? And as the cells are pushed, okay, towards the more superficial layers, okay, you have the transformation of ito, keratohyalin to eladine. Okay, so when the cells are already in the stratum lucidum layer, okay, the material is now transformed to become eladine. Okay? And then again, no? So when the cells, okay, in the stratum lucidum containing eladine is pushed, okay, towards the most superficial layer, eladine now becomes keratin. So there is a transition, no? So from keratohyalin granules to keratin. And we said that, ayun pala, no, that keratin is the major protein, no, found in the skin, in the hair, in the nails. Okay? And keratin is very important in making these structures waterproof. So that's why we are waterproof, okay, because of keratin. Okay? So that's in terms of the 5 layers of the epidermis. So again, the epidermis is made up of stratified squamous, keratinized epithelium. Okay? Now for the epidermal cells, so we have, first, we have the, may label ba tayo dito? Wala, no? Ito. Wala, no? So first we have the keratinocytes. Okay, keratinocytes. Again, no? Like in the discussion of the animal tissues in your lab, okay, you have the use of the suffixes blast and cytes, diba? So if the suffix is blast, like for example, chondroblast, osteoblast, diba? Fibroblast. So they are immature cells. In the case of fibroblast, these are immature cells that are capable of producing the fibers. Hence, they are called fibroblasts. Pag naman chondroblast, they are the immature cells of the cartilage. Now we have terms chondrocytes, diba? Osteocytes, fibrocytes. And in this case, you have keratinocytes. So when cells end with cytes, it means they are already mature. So these are the keratinocytes. So from the term keratinocytes, these are the mature cells that are capable of producing keratin. Okay? And more than 90% of the epidermal cells are said to be the keratinocytes. So halos lahat yan, na? Going back, so yan. Okay, so halos lahat ng yan, ang tawag sa kanila ay keratinocytes. Okay, so they now form the cell renewal system. So from the basale going to the corneum, so most of them, so 90%, more than 90% of them are keratinocytes. Again, they are the ones producing keratin, making the skin waterproof. Okay, another cell we have here, the melanocytes naman. So ito, no? So from the term, these are mature cells capable of producing the brown-black pigment known as melanin. So these are keratinocytes, yan. They are said to be spider-shaped. No, they have a lot of extensions. And usually the extensions, okay, they squeeze in between the keratinocytes. And as part of their functions, no, they produce and secrete the protein melanin, no? That's the brown-black pigment, no? And that melanin, ito, is actually transferred to a keratinocyte. Okay, and actually the melanin granules, no, they form a veil on top of the nuclei of the keratinocytes. Okay? Thereby shielding the nuclei. Kasi what are contained within the nuclei? Of course, you have the DNA, di ba? So the DNA are protected from UV, no, because of the presence of melanin. Because melanin granules are able to absorb UV. Okay, and in effect, no, the UV protects the DNA damage. Okay, so you should be thankful, no? We should be thankful to our melanocytes because they are protecting us against UV, especially now, no, that it's summertime. Okay, and don't criticize, no, those fair-skinned people, no, mapuputi. Sabi niyo, ang puti-puti na, nagpapayong pa. Ano ba yan? Ang ate-ate naman. No, that's not the case. Because they are aware that they are not really producing that much melanin. So their nuclei, no, the nuclei of their keratinocytes are not that protected compared to the brown-skinned, no, people like us. So they have to protect themselves by shielding themselves using umbrella and other things to cover them, no? Alam nila kasi na hindi sila masyadong nakakapaggawa ng melanin. So they have to protect themselves, no? And sabi nga, no, the melanocytes, okay, or melanin, of course, imparts the color to the skin. And like your adipocytes, okay, the number of melanocytes, okay, in a fair-skinned person, no, compared to a dark-skinned person is the same, no? The number is relatively the same. Okay, the difference in the coloration is in the amount of melanin being produced by the melanocytes. Okay, and the production of melanin is, of course, influenced by the genetics of the race, also by the geographic locations, diba? So those people who are living in areas like the temperate areas, no, which receive lesser UV, no, of course they are fair skin. So most of the population, no, most of the members are fair skin because the body, no, the body knows that the body should conserve energy. The body should not produce that much melanin because anyway, no, the skin cells are not really exposed to that UV, no, to that much, too much of the UV rays. Unlike dark people, diba? Dark, usually those who are residing in very hot areas, na receiving really lots of sunlight all throughout the year, no? Especially in the regions of the tropics, so tayo. So sa Africa, 'di ba? So usually mga dark skin tayo kasi yun nga, no, because the body knows, no, that the cells are exposed to more UV. So the body produces more melanin, especially the melanocytes, no? They produce more melanin to shield us from UV radiation. That's why it helps to utilize sunblocks or sunscreen, no? So the sunblocks, the sunscreens, they mimic the effect of the melanocytes. Okay? So, yun ha? Or they mimic the effect of melanin pala in absorbing UV and protecting the cells. Okay? Now, another population, we have the Merkel cells. So, ito sila. Okay, the Merkel cells are actually tactile receptors. Okay, so when you say tactile, they are capable of sensing touch. Okay, and they are usually associated with a sensory neuron. So, yan, ano? So, another group of cells responsible for our immunity are the Langerhans cells. The Langerhans cells are actually macrophages. Remember in our discussion, di ba? We have 5 types of white blood cells. Okay, so one of the types, we have the monocytes. They are the largest, di ba? And the monocytes, okay, when they mature, okay, they differentiate to become macrophages. So from the term macrophages, so they are large cells capable of eating a variety of substances. Okay? So when macrophages develop, we have the so-called wandering macrophages, yung naggagala, no? They patrol the entire body, okay, in search of intruders, no? To be eaten. And some macrophages, they become fixed to tissues or to organs. Okay, comparing them to police officers. So some police officers are stationed, di ba? They are stationed in the offices, no, ano man tawag doon, in their outpost. So yon. So you can say that Langerhans cells are the station macrophages, okay, in the skin. Okay, so they migrate, no, from the blood vessels and then they get stationed to the epidermis of the skin. So ganun sila, no? And sabi nga natin kanina, the macrophages are very important in imparting immunity to us because they now eat, okay, pathogens, no, that enter the skin. Okay, so that these pathogens, these antigens, would not anymore reach the deeper tissues of the skin and penetrate the organ or go to the bloodstream, no, for them to be circulated. So, sa balat pa lang, sa stratified squamous epithelium pa lang, sa epidermis pa lang, natatanggal na sila. No? They're already captured and eaten by the Langerhans cells or the station macrophages in the skin. Okay? And that's part of our innate immunity, yung ating inborn immunity, our natural defense. When we go to the immune system, we're going to discuss that, no? That's why sabi nga, the skin is our first line of defense because of this particular cells. Okay? Okay, so now we go to the next layer of the skin. We have the dermis. So the dermis, they say, is about mga 40 to 60 times thicker, no, compared to the epidermis of the skin. And the dermis of the skin is regarded as the true skin. Okay, it's the true skin. That's why the science that studies the skin and its disorders is called dermatology. Hindi naman tinatawag na epidermatology, di ba? Because again, the dermis is the true skin, no? So you can see in the dermis, no, you have the different glands, you have blood vessels, you have the hair follicles, you have nerve endings, yan. Okay? And of course, you have here very strong connective tissue. Now, there are two layers or two regions of the dermis. You have the first 1/3, that's the papillary region, and the second, and the 2/3 pala, that's the reticular region. Okay? Now, why is this called the papillary region? So, first and foremost, it contains areolar, no? It's made up of areolar connective tissue. We have the universal packing tissue, di ba? And it's called the papillary region because you have here the presence of the papillae, the dermal papillae. So, a papilla is a conical projection. So, kada isang ganito, yan, isang papilla yan. Isang papilla. Isang papilla. So, plural papillae. Okay? So, usually, associated with the dermal papillae, you have also the sensory endings, no? And usually, they are tactile, eh. Yung mga Meissner's corpuscle, tsaka yung naked nerve endings. Okay? And The dermal papillae are very important because the orientation actually forms the prints of the individual. So ito yung mga yan, yung mga fingerprints natin. Now, if you're going to look at the prints closely, there are elevations or there are elevated areas and there are depressed areas. So in the regions of ito, so yan, no? So they form the elevated areas of the prints. So yan, no? And sabi nga, no two individuals have the same set of fingerprints. So they are for identification. Not only that, the fingerprints are very important for us to increase our grasp of objects. So there is friction together with sweat. Imagine niyo kung wala kayong fingerprints, kung wala yung mga yan, tas walang pawis. Okay, when you hold a glass, so the glass would slip and it will break. So that's the purpose of the prints, no? That's the biological purpose, okay? Now, the reticular region is made up of the dense irregular connective tissue. That's why the skin is very strong. It's very tough. It's also very elastic, no? And it's very good for support. Again, because sabi natin, you have the presence of more reticular fibers, and the reticular fibers are for support, okay? Of course, you have collagen and you have also elastic fibers there. Okay, and then the third region of the skin is the hypodermis. So hypo meaning below the dermis or the subcutaneous layer. Okay, sub meaning below the skin. So that's the lowest layer or the deepest layer rather. And the subcutaneous layer is made up of the major blood vessels, okay, supplying and draining the skin, and also the fats, yung adipose tissue. Okay, and sabi natin, the adipose tissue is responsible for the roundness of the skin. So if more fats are stored within this cell, so the skin is rounder. Kaya nga yung medyo mas matataba, kaya nga tinatawag na matataba kasi medyo bilugin talaga katulad ko, di ba? So bilog ang aking balat because I have more fats stored within my adipocytes. Tapos yung medyo mga sexy, mga payat din yung kanilang mga adipocytes. They store less of the reserved energy. Okay? That's why they say pag payatot daw, medyo madaling nilalamig. Because again, the fats are for insulation. Okay? And like the melanocytes, the relative number of adipocytes doesn't vary significantly from person to person, whether the person is thin or thick. Ganon din. So halos pareho lang, the number is relatively the same. The fullness or the roundness of the skin rather is dependent on the amount of fat being stored. So sa payat, kung ang fat cell niya ay ganito, okay, yung mataba naman, ang fat cell namin ganito. Yan. So mas round kasi ibig sabihin, mas maraming fats ang naka-store sa kanya. Okay? Okay. Now we have the different epidermal derivatives. So from that term, epidermal derivatives, so these different structures are derived. They are produced, okay, by the epidermis of the skin. So ito, sasabi natin kanina, the epidermis does not only protect the body, it also produces the different glands, receptors, okay, and so on and so forth, okay? So first we have the cutaneous receptors, the skin receptors, okay? So we have the naked nerve ending, ito. So usually you see them at the junction of the epidermis and the dermis. Okay, because they are, again, tactile receptors. They are tactile. They sense touch. So they sense, okay, pain and light touch in association with a hair follicle naman. So if these naked nerve endings are associated with the hair follicle, so some of them are associated with the hair follicle, okay, so again, they are for pain and light touch in association with a hair follicle. That's why when insects are crawling, we can feel them even if they don't reach the skin yet. Nasa balahibo pa lang, nararamdaman na sila, di ba? Parang may gumagapang dyan. because of these naked nerve endings. And that's also the reason why, if it's your first time to pluck your eyebrows and your armpit hairs, so usually you feel pain, di ba? Unang beses, unang bunot, masakit. It's because of the naked nerve ending. And when you're used to plucking your eyebrows and your armpit hairs, hindi na siya masakit, di ba? Makati-kati na. It's because of course, the naked nerve endings were already severed, in those areas. Okay? So other tactile receptors capable of sensing touch. So we said we have here the Merkel cells forming a Merkel disc. Tapos ito, yung Meissner's corpuscles. So they are for touch. And tingnan nyo, no, the Meissner's corpuscles, usually, all of them pala, no? So almost all of them are associated with the papillae. Because remember, again, no, the tips of the fingers, di ba? They are really very, very sensitive, no? Because of the presence of these receptors. Ito rin, no? Kaya nga our major sensory organ, no? The organ, no, for touch is the skin. Okay? And then we have here, okay, the end bulb of Cross. So these are the cold receptors. And then the Ruffini's corpuscles are the heat receptors. And we have Pacinian corpuscles are the pressure receptors. That's why they are found at the junction of the hypodermis and the dermis. So nasa ilalim talaga ng balat, no? That's why, kasi nga, they are capable of sensing pressure. Diba? So pag sa ibabaw lang, touch lang yon. Pero pag yan, diniin mong ganyan, yun yung pressure. Okay? So this is also the reason why weightlifters, diba, prior to lifting the weights, no, that they have to carry, they have to test first. Diba? What they do is, they initially lift the weights. Kung kaya, itataas. Kung hindi, hindi nila itataas, no? Because there are a lot of pressure receptors found in the knees. Okay? So that's a way of that's the way for the body to protect itself by testing muna, no? Kasi pag hindi kaya yung weight, hindi kaya yung pressure, pwedeng masira yung mga joints. So kayo ganun din, ano? Pag magbubuhat, testingin niyo muna kung kaya. Pag hindi kaya, wag pilitin. Okay? So ayan, no? So other epidermal derivatives, we have the different glands. So first off, we have the sudoriferous glands. Okay, so the sudoriferous glands or the sweat glands. So ito yon. Ito, no? Ito yung sudoriferous gland. Sa actual slide in the lab. Okay, so you have here secretory part, no? The ones producing the sweat. Tapos you have here the duct. Okay, until such time that, from the duct, okay, sweat is now released onto the surface of the skin, again, for thermoregulation. And of course, as a means of excreting waste from the body, okay? So the sudoriferous glands or the sweat glands are able to produce and excrete sweat. Technically, sweat is known as sudor. Ang asim naman ng sudor. O, ang bango naman ng sudor, no? Pawis lang pala yun. Okay? Para hindi masyadong halata. So, ayan, no? So, sudor is sweat. And sweat is an excretory product. It's partially an excretory product because it contains nga excess water, we have excess ions, we have waste products such as urea, you have carbon dioxide, you also have heat. Okay? Now, there are two types of sweat glands. We have the eccrine sweat glands and the apocrine sweat glands. Na? The eccrine sweat glands are the usual sweat glands in the body. So they are found all throughout the body. They are most numerous in the palms, in the soles, and the forehead. Yan. Na? And they start to function during birth. Pagkapanganak pa lang natin, gumagana na sila. And they produce a more watery secretion. Katulad ko, yan, pawis ng aking mga palad, no? And the secretion is, since the secretion is more watery in nature, so the eccrine sweat glands are very important in our thermoregulation. Okay? What about ito, the other one, the apocrine sweat glands? The apocrine sweat glands are numerous in the regions of the, yun nga, no, armpit, in the pubic area, in the genital area, in the areolae of the breast. So the areolae of the breast are the circular pigmented areas around the nipples. Yun yung areolae, no? Singular areola. So these apocrine sweat glands are very numerous in these areas and they begin to function at puberty. Kaya pag puberty, di ba, pag nagbibinata, nagdadalaga, saka lang nagkakaroon ng kakaibang amoy. No? In some animals, these are the glands capable of producing and secreting pheromones to attract their mates. So tayo, no, somehow, of course, we don't smell that, but we also attract certain chemicals, release certain chemicals to attract the mates, no? Kaya nga 'di ba sinasabi, one test of compatibility is when a partner, no, uh, smells his or her partner in a very good way. Yung kahit na pawis na yung partner niya, ang amoy niya mabango pa din. So, ibig sabihin very compatible daw yung gano'n ano. So, basahin niyo yun may mga test na gano'n, eh. Tapos 'pag hindi sila compatible, ayaw nila yung amoy ng isa't isa 'no. It's also because of the apocrine sweat glands, okay? And the apocrine sweat glands daw, they produce a more viscous secretion, mas malapot 'no, unlike yung sa eccrine sweat glands na mas matubig. And sabi 'no, the apocrine sweat glands are stimulated by stress and sexual excitement, no? So if a person is angry, no, if a person experiences anger, anxiety, sexual arousal, so yan. So these glands become very, very active, no? And that's also why, sabi ko nga kanina, during puberty, the men and the women, no, or the adolescents in that particular case, develop their odors. So kung hindi masyadong hygienic yung mga especially yung mga lalaki, mga babae din naman 'no, nagkakaroon ng amoy. At ito, it's because of this apocrine sweat glands, 'no, because they can also be infected by microorganisms 'no, that can produce the foul odor. Okay. So maligo din 'pag may time, especially ngayong summer ha, maliligo araw-araw, puwede bang kahit na 2 to 3 times a day, okay. So ayan 'no, so that would be for the sweat glands. So another we have, the sebaceous glands naman. So this is pronounced sebaceous not sebaceous. Sebaceous. So sebaceous glands are the oil glands naman. So ito yon. Yan, no? Okay, and usually the sebaceous glands are associated with a hair follicle. So ito. And the sebaceous glands are capable of secreting sebum. Kaya nga sebo. Pag sinabing masebo, mamantika, no? Yan. So the sebaceous glands are capable of producing and secreting sebum. So sebum usually is fatty in nature, no? And of course, it contains also melanin and some ions, no? Some very important components, no? And sebum is our natural moisturizer. Okay? It makes the skin soft. It also makes the hair soft, shiny, and manageable. Okay? Kaya sabi 'no, an oilier skin is better than a dry skin, okay? Because the sebum 'no, naturally moisturizes the skin. So hindi na kailangan ng moisturizer. Kasi 'pag dry skin, kailangan ng moisturizer 'no, because when the skin is dry, the tendency is the epidermis may crack 'no, and there could be openings that could be routes for the entry of the microorganism. So we have to really keep our skin moisturized. Wag naman din yung masyadong sobrang dami ng mantika na puwede na magprito ng itlog, so siyempre joke lang yun. So yun din, maghilamos din naman 'pag may time because the sebaceous glands are also infected by microorganisms, no, that can cause pimples. Okay, so by the way, they are more numerous in the lips. Okay, in the glans penis. The glans penis is the tip of the penis. We have the labia minora of the vagina. We have the eyelid glands. That's why ito, usually talagang shiny yan, ano? And then we have the skin of the breast, the face. So ito, usually yung mga ano bang tawag dito, mga T-zone 'yan, mga katulad ko oily talaga yung mukha ko ano. Tapos you have the neck and the upper chest, so 'yan. So yan, marami daw dyan na mga sebaceous glands. Okay? Okay, so another gland, we have the ceruminous gland. So this is the earwax gland. So ito yan. It's actually a modified sweat gland, no? Yung ceruminous gland. And from the term ceruminous, okay, it now produces and secretes earwax or technically cerumen. So yan, kaya ang cerumen ay waxy. Okay? And cerumen is very important, no? Because it traps dust and other particles, especially insects, no, that can crawl into the auditory canal. So it's a sort of protection. Okay? So yun, ano? And of course, kailangan maglinis din naman ng tenga pag marami ng ganyan. Okay? Now, another, we have the mammary glands. So again, the mammary glands, from the term, are capable of producing and secreting milk, no, for the nourishment of the young. So yan, no? So another, ayan. So aside from the glands, we have here the hair. So it's a micrograph of our slide in the lab, and it shows you so many hair follicles. Okay? So ayan, ano? And then, so technically, a hair is known as a pilus. So plural ay pilay, no? Hairs or pilay. And you have here the parts. No? You have the hair root, the hair shaft, and the hair bulb. So the hair root, shaft muna. So the hair shaft is the part of the hair that is exposed, okay, outside. So lahat ng to, yan, ang tawag dyan ay hair shaft. No? Those that are exposed to the outside. So whether it be our head hair or our eyebrows or our eyelashes, okay, hairs all throughout the body, axillary hair, pubic hairs, basta lahat na naka-expose, ang tawag doon ay hair shaft. Okay? And then, the part which is embedded, ito, okay, that's the hair root. So, lahat yan, katulad dito, no? Lahat yan. Okay, lahat yan, hair root ang tawag. Okay, so that's the embedded part of the hair. And the expanded part, ito, okay, that's the hair bulb. No? So hair shaft, hair root, and then we have the hair bulb. So what are the parts of a hair bulb? No? So we have here the hair papilla, this one. Sabi nga natin, a papilla is a conical or a finger-like indentation, no? And the hair papilla is made up of connective tissues and also blood vessels, okay, for nourishing the hair. Now, parts of the hair, we have the cuticle, the cortex, and the medulla. So the surface, no, the outermost part is the cuticle. So yan yung sa labas, no? So it's made up of scaly cells. And then the inner part, the middle part, that's the cortex. So yan. And then the innermost part, that's the medulla. Okay? And even if you pluck your hair, the hair will continue to grow because here, parang dito sa part na to, may tinatawag na hair matrix. It's made up of actively dividing cells then, no? And those cells, of course, when they divide, they form the new hair. Okay? So, yun, ano? Okay, so another epidermal derivative is a smooth muscle. You have the erector pili muscle. So, this is the erector pili muscle. Yan, na? And like the sebaceous gland, okay, the erector pili muscle is almost always associated then with a hair follicle. Yan dalawang yan, no? Sebaceous gland at saka yung erector pili. That's why, ayun nga, no, the sebaceous glands are very important. They produce sebum to make our hair shiny and soft and manageable, and also protection, no, against dryness. So, yan. Okay? What about the erector pili muscle? So, from the term erector pili muscle, okay, so since this is a muscle, it's capable of contraction or shortening. And it now raises, no? Kaya nga erector, it now raises the hair. That's why we have a phenomenon called goosebumps or goose flesh, diba? So ito, so you have here a relaxed erector pili muscle, you have a contracted erector pili muscle. So when the arrector pili muscle is relaxed, you have the normal position of the hair. Okay, it's slanting. But when this muscle contracts, when this shortens, okay, when this shortens, it pulls on the hair bulb, diba? It pulls on this surface of the skin. It also pulls the hair bulb. So the hair stands. Okay, ano naman yung goose bump na yan, no? Because remember, when this muscle contracts or shortens, it also pulls, okay, on this part of the skin. Hihilahin niya yan. Hihilahin din niya to. As a result, you have the presence of elevated structures. No, usually those elevated structures are the ones attached to the hair. No, so may mga bumps ngayon. Okay? And evolutionarily, now what's the purpose of experiencing this phenomenon? So in animals, no, you see dogs, no, when they are about to fight other dogs, or cats, no, seeing dogs or cats fighting other cats, or eto, no, you have roosters, no, or cocks fighting prior to fighting, no, they raise their plumage. Meron silang Arrectores plumarum. Sa mammals, Arrectores pilorum. Plural 'yon, no? Arrectores pilorum sa mammals because they are associated with the hair, with the hair and the fur. Pag naman sa avian, sa birds, Arrectores plumarum, yung plumage nila, no? So what's the purpose of raising the hairs or the fur? Okay, and also ito in roosters, no? In preparation for fighting, 'di ba? They also raise their feathers. Okay? So the goosebumps, no, is actually a physiological phenomenon, okay, that which is in response to the flight or fight reaction. So we are going to discuss that more on the endocrine, no? So when, for example, a cat faces a dog, or a cat faces another cat, no, it decides whether to fight or escape, no? Kaya nga fight or flight response. Pwedeng lumaban siya, pwede naman na tumakas siya, no? So in this particular case, the erector pili muscles, no, they contract, raising the hairs. And what is the purpose? So usually, the raised hair, in this case, the raised fur, develops a more fluffy appearance. So the animal seems to be bigger and more intimidating. Okay? So sasabihin ng dog or ng cat, "Naku, nagagalit na siya kasi lumalaki siya." 'Di ba, tumatayo yung mga balahibo. Ibig sabihin anytime it's ready to fight, okay? But in reality, no, the cat, no, is really frightened of the dog, okay? But it makes itself fluffier, it makes itself bigger, it makes itself more intimidating. Of course, no, to intimidate the other individual, no? Pero usually yan, it's either lalaban siya o tatakbo na nga siya, no? Gano'n din sa mga birds, no? They raise their feathers, so they appear fluffier and more intimidating, no, towards their opponent. Okay? So yan. And also, sabi nga, no, we humans, we also experience this, especially in times of cold. Kasi goosebumps is also a phenomenon in response to cold temperature, 'di ba? So usually, you see hens, you see birds, 'di ba, raising their plumage, okay? Parang ganito, again to make them fluffier, okay? Because they now increase the volume of the feathers. So if the volume is increased, so it means the feathers can retain more heat, no? So that less heat can be dissipated from the body, so that the animal can feel warmer. Okay? Nakikita natin 'yan. Tayo din, 'di ba? Kasi naman as animals, we also have the same reactions, 'di ba? When we are exposed to cold temperatures, we suddenly feel the chills and we produce the goosebumps din. Tatayuan din ng balahibo. Though that's a response to the cold temperature naman, no? Like other animals. Okay? But don't expect our head hairs to really rise up. Hindi kaya ng mga erector pili muscles natin patayuin ang ating mga hair shaft na ganitong kahahaba. Okay? So yan, it's a natural phenomenon, no? Okay, so other epidermal derivatives, usually protecting the ends of the digits from trauma. So depending on the group of animals, no? So we have here the nails. So for mammals, we have the nails. So nails are actually, ito, no? They are plates of dead keratinized hardened cells, no? Protecting the ends of the digits. Okay? So yan, no? So we have nails in other mammals. Yan. Okay, so if the plate is somewhat pointy, no? It's now called a claw. Okay, tapos if it's very thick, no? It's very thick and it prevents the digits of other animals, it's called now a hoof. So, like horses have hooves, ano pa ba? Carabaos, cows, no? Yung mga ungulates, so they have hooves. Okay? So again, no, all in all, the nails, the claws, and the hooves, they protect the ends of the digits against trauma. Okay. Other epidermal derivatives are the feathers. So yan. So depending on the feather in your compa-ana, you're going to discuss the different types and their functions. So some feathers allow some species to fly. Others are for contouring, no, giving shape to the body. Others are for um, conserving heat. Okay? So ayan, ano? And also, the feathers, no, usually in taxonomy are very important in detecting sexual dimorphism. Okay, detecting, kaya nga dimorphism, no? So you have two morphologies. So the morphology of the male and the female. So usually in the avian realm, the more colorful ones are the males. And the not so colorful ones are the females. Yung mga medyo hindi kagandahan, mga babae. Ang magaganda sa kanila yung mga lalaki, na? Because again, the plumage is utilized in attracting the females, no? For breeding, usually during the mating season, no? So other epidermal derivatives, we have here the horns. Okay, we have here the horns and the antlers. Okay, so yes, no, they are derived from the epidermis of the skin. So they are also for sexual dimorphism, no? Usually malalaki sa lalaki, makakapal, sa babae maliliit, and also for protection. 'Di ba? So usually, especially in males, no, in securing their mates and also in securing their territory, they fight. So they utilize their horns and their antlers. Okay? So other epidermal derivatives, you have the beaks and the bills. So technically, they are the same. Okay, but we refer to the pointy ones as the beaks. Yan. Na? Pero usually, pareho lang naman sila. No? But when we say bills, we usually refer to the flat, blunt ones. Yan. Mga bills. Okay? And sabi nga, no, the shape of the beak or the bills is dependent on the diet of the avian species. Okay? So other epidermal derivatives, you have the scales of snakes, okay, and the scutes of turtles. In your compa-ana, you're going to study them. May mga iba't ibang pangalan yan. Okay, so if you're going to remove the scutes, you're going to reveal a white exoskeleton. Ang tawag naman doon ay plate. So itong colored na to, no? So those are the scutes of the turtles. And then there are other scale types, but this time, in terms of origin, they are dermal. You have the scales of fishes, so they are dermal in origin. So they come not from the epidermis of the skin, but from the dermis. So, and again, no, scales are for protection. So, all the epidermal derivatives are all for the protection. Okay? Ayun, I guess that ends our lecture for the integumentary system.